Friends who have studied in junior high school all know, such as levers, pulleys, gears, and hydraulics. These seemingly simple tools, they all have one thing in common, which is saving effort. And this saving effort have a special name in physics, called mechanical advantage. How to understand mechanical advantage? Simply put, it means how much force you put in, and how much force you get back. In physics, its definition is simple: output force divided by input force. For a visual example, a 100 kilogram heavy object, it takes about 1,000 newtons to lift it. If you lift it hard, you have to use 1,000 newtons of force. But if you use a device with a mechanical advantage of 2, you only need to exert 500 newtons, the remaining half of the force. The tool will help you solve it. So how do these tools work? Let's start with the simplest lever. We use levers every day. A seesaw, a nail clipper, and a wrench are all levers. Structure is very simple. It has a rod and a fulcrum. There are 2 rolls on the lever. One side is the heavy object to be lifted. One side is the heavy object to be lifted, and the other is the force you apply, called the power. It means how much force you apply to support the weight. But if you move the fulcrum towards the heavy object, a magical thing will happen. At this time you use less force. You can still lift the weight. Why is that? The key is the lever. You can think of the lift as this force. How strong you are to twist things. The size of the moment of force depends on how strong the force is and how far away it is. A lever stays balanced. It doesn't rely on equal force, but the moments on both sides are the same. So when you are farther from the fulcrum, even if the force is smaller, multiplied by a longer distance, you can still balance the weight. This is the essence of the lever saving effort. Of course, the lever does make your force smaller, but the price is that you have to walk a longer distance. If you press 1 meter here, the heavy object may only lift up by 0.2 meters. The force is smaller, the distance is longer, but the energy is not reduced at all. Let's look at pulleys. Pulleys look more complicated than levers, but the essence is not difficult to understand. It is composed of a wheel with a groove in the middle and an axle. Let's look at the simplest one first. A pulley is hung on the ceiling, and the rope goes around it. One end is connected to the weight, and the other end is pulled by you. In this case, its function is to change the direction of force. You can pull it down, instead of directly lifting the object upward. But note that, the weight is 1,000 newtons. You still have to pull 1,000 newtons, because the tension on the entire rope is the same. Now we change the position of the pulley, not on the ceiling, but directly on the heavy object. With such a small change, the nature of the entire system has completely changed. At this time you will find that you only need half the original force. You can lift the weight. Why is that? Because now the heavy object is suspended by 2 ropes simultaneously. There are 2 upward tensions above the pulley. They come from the same rope, and the tensions are the same. To balance 1,000 newtons, the 2 forces add up to exactly offset it. Each force is naturally 0.5 kilonewtons. So at the end of the rope, you only need to apply a force of 0.5 kilonewtons. To make the operation more convenient, a fixed pulley is usually added, so you can pull it diagonally, instead of pulling upward, like a lever. The price of saving effort is that you have to pull longer ropes, because you need to lift the heavy object. Now you must shorten both ropes simultaneously. The more pulleys, the more rope sections supporting the heavy object, the greater the mechanical advantage. For example, this system has 4 ropes sharing the weight. You only need to apply a force of 0.25 kilonewtons to get 1,000 newtons of output. In reality, in order not to take up too much space, we usually combine multiple pulleys into a pulley system. One set is fixed on the top, and the other follows the heavy object. Let's look at gears. Gears do the same thing as levers, but it rotates instead of moving. When one gear rotates with another, a gear system is formed. The input power is called the driving gear, and the one responsible for outputting power is called the driven gear. If a large gear drives a small gear, because the circumference of the large gear is larger, it rotates once. The small gear has to rotate several times. This is called speed amplification. But when the speed is faster, the torque will become smaller. If a small gear drives a large gear, the speed is slower, but the output torque will be amplified. The mechanical advantage of gears is essentially simple. It's equal to the ratio of the number of teeth, or the ratio of their radii. No matter how many gears you add in between, as long as it is a geared wheel, it won't change this ratio. It only changes the direction of rotation. A hand winch is a typical example. You turn a small gear and drives the large gear, and then tighten the steel cable by the drum, and finally it can lift heavy objects. Finally, there is the hydraulic system. It actually works by to pressurize a closed system of liquids to transmit force to other places, so it can directly be used to jack up cars, press steel plates, and lift heavy objects. The hydraulic system can do this. It relies on the characteristics of liquids, and Pascal's law, in other words, is that in a closed space, as long as it is an incompressible liquid, the pressure you apply anywhere will be transmitted intact, will be transmitted to every corner of the liquid. Imagine a sealed container filled with liquid. If you press down in one place, it's not just the place you press that reacts, but the pressure in the entire liquid will rise together. Now let's make it into two pistons and connect them with a pipe. Press the first piston. As soon as the pressure increases, it will be immediately transmitted to the second piston. Double the area of one piston. Assume the pressure on the small piston increases by 5 kPa. According to Pascal's law, the 5,000 pascals of pressure will be fully applied to the surface of the large piston. Rugua. The area of the large piston is twice that of the small one, then the force it receives will naturally be twice. If it's 4 times, the output force will directly become 4 times. That is to say, if you press a force on the small piston, the big piston can push out 4 times the force. This is the core of the hydraulic system. It uses area to exchange for force. This is how a hydraulic jack works. When you repeatedly press the lever, the small piston pushes the liquid into the large cylinder. The more liquid accumulates, the big piston will push up bit by bit, and the heavy object is slowly lifted. And when you open the exhaust valve, the hydraulic oil flows back to the reservoir. The pressure is released. The big piston naturally drops. So whether it is a lever, pulley, gear, or hydraulics, they all follow this logic.